Hey guys, so recently Shadiversity did a video on modern versus historical archery. While I'm not saying what he put out there was wrong, I do have a few little comments to add to it. Also, just to be clear, I'm not attacking Shad in any way. I love his content. I regularly watch his content. I'm a big fan. Probably lean towards Metatron more than anything else, but if I want to know about armor or anything else, then Shad is one of the first people that I go to. So with that in mind, let's crack on. Okay, first of all, I'm only going to say this once. Now, I realise how this sounds coming from me, given how often I get terminology wrong and then how lazy I am because I don't reshoot or change it. But you don't fire a bow. You fire a gun. You shoot a bow. I don't know why this is such a big deal, but even to me, it's like a punch in the kidney every time I hear it. So back in medieval times, if you had a string of archers all lined up and they were all ready to go, the order would never come through as fire. Cats. Yes, anyway, the order would never come through as fire. You would only yell fire if there was, an actual fire. It would always be shoot or more commonly loose. Okay, I set that out of the way. Let's crack on. You can really tell that there's no light. Anyway, back quivers. The first point I want to get to. Yes, back quivers were a thing. They were used throughout the world, but particularly in medieval England and medieval Europe, back quivers weren't as prominent as most media lets on. In fact, when it comes to a warring or a battle skirmish or anything like that where an archer can actually set up, they're not likely to have a back quiver. Certainly not in Europe. In Asia, it's a bit different, but in Europe, given that the weakest war bow we would have would be like this. Maybe not this shape, but it would be 80 pounds. That's the absolute weakest that would pass for a war bow. So a medieval archer would find it much more easier to have the arrows either sticking out of the ground or in a bag on the side of their belt, not on a back quiver. Now I know there's quite a few good trick shooters out there who have back quivers and they use a beautiful dagger technique, but when it comes to really strong bows, taking it out of the back quiver can be a bit fumbly. Then knocking and pulling and loosing, it's very difficult. And also when you're shooting a war bow, you don't want to put any extra strain on your muscles. Now I know firsthand with shooting the Oneida, if I keep my arm like this the whole time, my shoulder is going to start burning because of the weight, because I'm not moving my arm. It's much easier if I can move my whole body, pull out from the side, pull up and go, or pull it from the ground. Having a back quiver in that kind of situation where you're with other archers, you're set up, a back quiver really doesn't help. Okay, so this is now my main point of Shad's video, arrow alignment. Now, yes, in modern day archery, he's absolutely right. We've gone for, assuming you're a right-handed shooter, we've gone for having the arrow placed on the left. But this isn't just because of accuracy. There's a few reasons behind it, and going way back when, certainly at the exact same time, there were a lot of different cultures that shot differently. When you look at Mongolian archers are the best archers in the world. They are phenomenal, and they shoot with the arrow on the right side. Now, what Shad doesn't point out in this video, I don't know if he knows this or not, or if he's just a modern day shooter, but this certainly annoyed me when Lars came out and didn't mention anything about it. Putting the arrow on the right side is not some new thing. Now, this is more a pet peeve with Lars than with Shad. But right side shooting is not a lost art. All you have to do is look at Japan, where they still put the arrow on the right side. Look at China, traditional Chinese archers, traditional Mongolian archers, more or less throughout Asia. The difference is, when you put the arrow on the right side, you have to use a thumb release. Now, I can't do a thumb release with this bow because it's 80 pounds, and as I've said in previous videos, if I try and draw it back to a proper anchor point, I'm likely to dislocate my thumb. But this is the release. Maybe with a finger, maybe with 2 fingers, 1.5, depending on what particular style you're trying. Malta Archery with Armin, he's a fantastic shooter with a thumb release. I'll leave links down to everyone down below, but certainly go and check him out because he's fantastic at what he does. But one of the reasons that right side shooting was favoured over left side shooting is because on a horse it's better. It's not just me saying it's better for the sake of it. You're stabler, you have much better control over the bow because you have to control an animal at the same time. So it's easier using a thumb release and drawing back than it is doing any other type of shooting. In medieval England and throughout medieval Europe, typically we used stronger bows. Now, Shad said in his videos that it would be 80 pounds. I think he went up to 120 as an average, but then said that some bows went up to 150 and so on, which is absolutely right. Which is another reason why you wouldn't just use your thumb. I know a lot of Mongolian archers will use thumb rings and everything else, but 3 fingers, in some cases a full grip if you're not actually worried about huge accuracy, means that you can pull back a much stronger bow with much less risk of damage to yourself. I can pull this back with 3 fingers. I can't do it with a thumb. Okay, practice might change that, but for the general consensus, that's why we typically favoured a Mediterranean grip, or the conventional grip as Shad puts it, 3 under over the thumb release. So we had to put the arrow on the left. Some people ascribe that to the Archer's Paradox. It's not really Archer's Paradox. It's very, very simple. It's based on your hand, the way that your hand is. The last point of contact with a Mediterranean grip or a standard grip 3 under, whatever, that last point of contact is going to pull the string this way. So the arrow needs to be on this side, so it's being pulled that way. If you have the space to do it safely, I do recommend maybe in a completely safe way of testing this, but try the arrow on the right with using your fingers. It will go over there somewhere. I know, I've tried it. I tried it when Lars Anderson first put out his video, because he didn't tell people that you have to change your grip, that you have to use an Asian way of shooting, which is this way. So the last point of contact when you shoot with a thumb release is that way, which is why you have different types of arrow alignment. Now, yes, the industry has gone more towards left side alignment, and then we've added things like sights and stabilizers and all that other fun stuff, but you can be really accurate, incredibly accurate, with enough practice with right side arrow alignment. This is not meant as an attack on Shad at all. Again, I really love his content. I just had a few extra comments to put on his video. So I hope you liked it. I hope you learned a bit more. And I hope you take up archery.